Welcome back to OpenLine, talking about the mayor's transportation agenda. What does the mayor hope to accomplish over the next 3 years to deal with some of our transportation issues? Good discussion, a lot of good calls, and I want to ask about technology changes that are coming, because I think that's also fascinating. Self-driving cars, some of this stuff that sounds like it's out of a movie, but that's part of the planning here, right? Mm-hmm. Where are we with that?
Well, so Nashville is actually one of 4 U.S. cities that's involved in the Bloomberg Aspen Institute's initiative on autonomous vehicles. There's 10 cities around the world, only 4 in the U.S., and Nashville's one of them.
Wow.
And so we've been getting together with these 10 cities and sort of learning about the technology and how we should be thinking about it as a city, when we think the technology is going to be here. Most of the manufacturers say that a level 4 autonomous vehicle, which means it's fully automated but has a human backup, will be ready to be on the streets in 2020, 2021. So we've got a couple, still have a couple of years, but we don't expect there to be thousands of them right away, but it's sort of on the near horizon. And so we very much are thinking about, as we think about mass transit and investing in high capacity corridors, how to be incorporating these new technologies and autonomous vehicles into those plans. We do still think that investing in mass transit is hugely important. It's a simple geometry issue. When in your most congested areas, you need high capacity transit to move people, but we also think that autonomous vehicles, in combination with some of the platforms that people are using for Uber and Lyft, sort of the mobility on demand concepts that would allow those vehicles to be more shared, will help us make those connections between high capacity corridors, help us make the connections with first and last miles, which will allow us to do it more efficiently and cheaply. So this
move toward autonomous vehicles that drive themselves, that is a positive when we talk about our traffic problems. Is that true? In a way, because of that, it can help us be less congested. Is that a true statement?
Well, I think autonomous vehicles could go in 2 very different directions. One direction that could happen is that everybody stays in their single occupancy vehicle, except now they drive themselves, and that could actually encourage people to live even further away from where they work, because they don't necessarily have to be driving. They could be eating breakfast or doing their makeup or reading a book while their car is driving them into town. One of the other scary ideas that we've heard is that an autonomous vehicle could drop somebody off at their workplace and then just circle all day and not park, which would add to congestion. But we also see that there's an opportunity for it to help with the congestion problems, and ensuring that they are shared as much as possible, that they're electric, so helping us address some of our air quality issues, and autonomous, which we think will improve safety, is the direction that we want them to go in, and have them be integrated with our other modes of transit.
A paradigm shift that blows your mind is just that, to think that now in the future maybe we don't even own a car anymore. Maybe everybody shares, and it's a common resource that we share and we pay into, just like you might hail an Uber now or something like that. I will say one of the things that excites me, and we're not tremendously involved in ushering in the autonomous vehicle age from a public works standpoint, but one of the things from just an engineering standpoint that's really wonderful to think about is what it can cut down on is what we call non-recurring congestion, those things that are caused by traffic crashes or incidences where 2 human operators have crashed, and now, as the caller from Murfreesboro Road or any outlying community knows, anytime that happens, there's 20 minutes added to your commute just trying to get through those problem areas. So
there's a crash, I feel like, every morning on the interstate. There's some crash.
And so with computers driving the cars, there's a possibility that those incidents go way down.
I'm astounded we're one of 10 cities in the world. Why did they pick us? Do you know?
I don't know for sure, but I have guesses. I think Mayor Berry has really been sort of proactive about her vision for mass transit and her vision for sort of the future of transportation in Nashville. The other thing that Governor Haslam and the state legislature passed a bill around AVs this year. Commissioner Schroer from TDOT often talks about autonomous vehicles. So I think people also, we have two major auto manufacturers that are here in the region, GM and Nissan. So I think it was the combination of all of those things really that it was clear that we could be a test bed for these ideas and these concepts, because there was alignment at all levels of government. And so we were excited to be a part of it and are excited to think about.
And it's fascinating. I think that's and it's fascinating to think it could go two ways. And you're right, it could go two ways. It could be we maintain our love of our cars. This generation, we love our cars. I feel like the next generation, I see people biking into work. I feel like they may not have that love for their car, and so maybe we can move away from it. But it could be tilted. It could be, oh, no, they'll go to their car. Maybe it'll be a cost thing where there'll be car sharing or whatever it is. It's just going to be interesting to see how it goes, because it could be really good, or it could be a wash, or it could be worse. Who knows? All right, let's go with Ann. Hello, Ann?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
The growth in East Nashville is just beyond ridiculous. On my street alone, we lost 5 houses to builders, and 15 homes have been built on those 5 lots. There has been no improvement rather to any of our major roads. Do you foresee any improvement? Because the traffic is already congested, the building continues, and it's just going to get worse.
And you're talking about East Nashville right now, right?
Yes.
That's where you are.
Yes.
I mean, this is a story we could take to any number of neighborhoods. Certainly East Nashville is seeing that kind of thing. So how do you address that, her concerns?
So Main Street, Gallatin Road is a 5-lane roadway. In some cases it's 4 lanes, but generally it's a 5-lane roadway, and the fact is it's not going to get any water from a traffic standpoint. Where there is no plan on any horizon. Us, TDOT, MPO, nobody is saying that what we need to do is add another lane and make that a 7-lane road. That's just not in keeping with the ideals of the city and how we want to grow and how we want to think about moving ourselves. One reason that is because we know that when that happens, those lanes fill up and traffic comes to that road from other places, and it is really a vicious cycle in terms of attracting new traffic whenever we add that capacity. It's something that we've known for some time. So instead, what is being planned, as Mayor Berry has announced, is an initiative to begin planning and development of a light rail corridor along Gallatin Road. It would stretch, at least into the downtown area and provide relief for some of that congestion that's occurring, and is very compatible with the type of development that the caller is describing.
Now, I hear in her question frustration over there was 1 house on this lot and now there are 2 or maybe more. Are we going to, as Director of Transportation and Sustainability, we're seeing it everywhere, but is that going to change, or is that kind of the new reality?
Well, I talked a little bit about this sort of Nashville Next and our sort of our smart growth plan, and we are going to try as much as possible to ensure that growth happens really close to those transit corridors, like a quarter of a mile is what we're talking. And the hope of that is that we can keep our neighborhoods looking and feeling the way that they do now, and so taking some of the pressure for that growth off of those neighborhoods. And a big tool that we got this year was with the state legislature was looking at how we do redevelopment districts and looking at transit-oriented development. And so again, that just happened a couple months ago, but it's something that we're thinking about, and we'll definitely be thinking about it as we talk about the Gallatin Road corridor. But it's something we hear from the neighborhoods a lot, that people like their neighborhoods and they want them to stay the same, and so we're trying to be receptive to that.
I want to talk in the final couple minutes we have in this segment, the referendum. You mentioned at the top, 2018, there's probably going to be a referendum. What does that referendum, what can you tell, what is it going to look like? As best you can tell right now, what are we talking about when we talk about that referendum? People will vote on what?
Well, so a part of the Improve Act, which the state legislature passed and the governor signed, which was the gas tax increase, also allowed a local option, which gives us an ability to add a surcharge on a number of different existing taxes. We can't create a new tax; has to be a surcharge on an existing tax. And so that's what we will be looking at is, with lots of public input from the community, but sort of thinking about which tax makes sense and which tax will help us, surcharge I should say, will help us sort of fund the transit improvements that we're talking about. Jeff mentioned that the N-Motion plan talks about 4 light rail corridors, the commuter line to Clarksville, center running BRT on Dickerson, and so wanting to look at that network of lines and saying, you know, in this first go, how much can we get done and how much can we accomplish, and sort of walking back from there.
When we, and I hope you can answer this quick, when we roll this out in 2018, will it be just Gallatin, or do you think we'll roll out more than one? Like say, prove this and it will fund Gallatin and Dickerson Road and more than one, or just Gallatin?
I think our hope is that we'll be able to do more than one, because as we're seeing across the country is that once you have a network in place that can really connect across downtown, you know, at least north and south, ridership projections are much higher, or actual ridership actually is much higher. So it would be our goal to start that network at the very least. But you know, we're looking at the cost associated with all of this and figuring out what we'll be able to get done.
Crunching the numbers. Okay, we'll take a break. We'll come back, wrap everything up. Be back right after this.